Welcome to TPM Vids Disney Beat, where we talk about all things Disney. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, this isn't my channel.
Yep, this is Fastpass Facts. But we're about to talk about the scariest animatronics in theme parks. And we know you also love animatronics. Why don't you join us?
Sure, I'd love to talk about some animatronics. Welcome to TPM Vids Disney Beat. King Kong, Carthage Land in Tunisia. For those of you who have megalophobia, you'll find that this animatronic comes out of your worst nightmare. This is actually the world's biggest animatronic figure ever made. It was created by an Italian company called EOS Rides, and it was done for Carthage Land in Tunisia, the first theme park in North Africa. The gorilla was crafted to resemble the famous King Kong, and EOS studied the animal in real life in order to make the figure as realistic as possible. This animatronic is now the centerpiece of a customized spinning coaster, also designed and built by the same company. King Kong measures 13 meters or 42 feet tall and is seen resting on its knuckles, turning his head and looking around. While it might not move a lot, the size of the animatronic is imposing. Every once in a while, King Kong stands up to his full height, raises his arms, and thumps his chest angrily, while his head turns and his mouth opens, emitting an ear-splitting roar. You'll even see King Kong's hot breath pour from his nostrils. This coaster not only features the impressive animatronic, but also many other effects. This includes flames and a great sound system that allows you to hear King Kong's roar up to a kilometer away. The animatronic is enormous and pretty terrifying.
Draconicon, Efteling. Efteling is an amazing park that has not only fantastic roller coasters and magical dark rides, but also great live shows. One of these shows is Raveline. This show tells the story of 5 children who are magically transformed into brave knights. They free the medieval city of Raveline after confronting the cruel oppressor Count Olaf. The show has 50 performers, stunt people, horse riders, and falconers. And if this is not enough, it also features an impressive mechanical dragon named Draconicon. Draconicon is a 5-headed monster with 2 wings and 4 claws. Each of the heads spits fire. The visible part of its mechanism consists mainly of large gears. In Raveline's story, he was built by Falco Peregrinus, who pretends to be Count Olaf Grafhard, as the ultimate weapon to defend his power. This fantastic dragon was designed and created by Heavy Decor, a company specializing in decoration and set construction. The dragon is imposing and equally scary. In August of last year, the dragon had some problems and it broke, so the show had to be temporarily closed. But thankfully, the park got to work rapidly and Draconicon was repaired, and the show and dragon came back soon after. This is such an awesome and scary animatronic at the same time, and the fact it has 3 flame-throwing heads makes it more terrifying.
Imhotep. The Mummy series was a huge success for Universal, so back in 2002, Universal wanted to bring a ride to its parks based on this franchise. The first park to receive the ride was Universal Studios Orlando, and for this, they closed Kongfrontation. The ride opened on May 21st, 2004, and it was promoted by Universal as a psychological thrill ride. This was thanks to the many different phobias it touched upon. Because Universal Studios Orlando was created with the idea of it being a working movie studio, the Revenge of the Mummy ride stayed right on theme. From the queue, you learn that you're in a group touring a set from the Mummy film, when you enter a tomb and the fantasy world of film is transformed into the real thing. Along the way, you're warned about a possible curse, then you board a clunky Jeep-like vehicle. The ride begins as a slow but very elaborate dark ride, passing through various chambers, including one where flesh-eating scarab beetles descend into the room. Suddenly, your vehicle stops, drops backwards, and rotates. This is where you're shot at high speeds up the first hill of the coaster. Now there's many creepy elements in this ride, but the scariest of them all is Imhotep. The ride takes you into an ancient Egyptian tomb where the evil Imhotep and his curse await. According to the ride's story, Imhotep is unstoppable, unless you can find the symbol of Magi. It seems like crew member Reggie has gone missing from Revenge of the Mummy, and you're about to find him. Wrapped in mummified dressings, Reggie is leaned in a sarcophagus. He warns guests that the curse is real and they should get out because they've entered a trap. Just then, the massive stone sarcophagus next to Reggie bursts open, and the half-decayed Imhotep jumps out. He orders Reggie to be silent before killing him. Imhotep appears several times throughout the ride, as projected images and animatronics, even killing and stealing the soul of a ride attendant when for a brief moment it seems like the ride has ended. But nothing compares to the first Imhotep animatronic we see. This animatronic is creepy, very close to the train, and gives us a huge jump scare by literally jumping out of a sarcophagus. And to top it all off, it kills Reggie.
Challenge of Tutankhamon Animatronics. Sally Corporation is known for its exceptional interactive dark rides, and Challenge of Tutankhamon is a perfect example of their fantastic work. This dark ride is one of Europe's favorite dark rides. It opened back in 2003 at Walibi, Belgium, formerly known as Six Flags Belgium. The ride takes guests on an amazing journey deep into the heart of the ancient pyramid, where the tomb of the legendary pharaoh, King Tutankhamon, was hidden from the world for thousands of years. The ancient god, Seth, Lord of Destruction and Chaos, has vowed to protect the sanctity of the tomb and has unleashed the mystical terrors of the curse. Your challenge is to enter the uncharted regions of the dark passageways and find the lost treasure. Challenge of Tutankhamon is an interactive ride that has more than 130 targets and 54 animatronics. Some of these are pretty terrifying. There's a giant scorpion and cobra, scarabs, and we also see a huge and imposing Anubis animatronic and Seth, Lord of Chaos and Destruction. But without a doubt, the most terrifying animatronic in this ride is the three-headed Chacal. These towering beasts provide a fierce warning to those that trespass into King Tutankhamon's tomb. This is an excellent trackless ride full of animatronics and props, and one of the best parts of the ride is that it has 3 different endings that depend on the score of the riders. If the riders do not achieve the desired score, they are taken to the first exit. If they do, they are taken to a king of a final boss scene against Golden Seth. If they are defeated, they are taken to the exit. But if they manage to defeat Seth, they go to the end of the dark ride where they get to the treasure chamber. This is such a fun ride, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't have scary elements.
Pennywise Animatronic. The animatronics at the Transworld Convention never fail to impress people all over the world. At the 2018 convention, there was one particular figure that stood out, which was the Pennywise Animatronic. This terrifying but impressive animatronic was created by Unit 70 Studios, a company that specializes in creating animatronics and props for Halloween and horror attractions. They make custom animatronics, and one of the scariest examples of their work is Pennywise. The animatronic was commissioned and presented at the show by Halloween Productions Incorporated. They requested something based off the Pennywise character from the 2017 movie It, crossed with a spider. The gigantic, terrifying animatronic is a monster-sized version of Pennywise. It features several especially creepy features that are pure nightmare fuel. This Pennywise animatronic is sporting the spider arms he's featured with towards the end of the movie, in addition to his scarier mouth with razor-sharp teeth. Last but certainly not least, Pennywise is holding poor little Georgie, who's missing an arm while screaming his head off. The animatronic is 11 feet tall, weighs nearly 800 pounds, and it took over 2 months to be completed. After Transworld, the animatronic reappeared in Jacksonville at one of 13th Floor Entertainment's haunted houses. They have over 15 locations across the US. This Pennywise animatronic is downright terrifying, and it really shows the extraordinary work of Unit 70 Studios.
Edna, George, and the Dragon, Efteling. Efteling is one of the best theme parks in the world, and one of the many reasons for this is because it has a huge diversity of different attractions. It has multiple roller coasters, and one of these fantastic roller coasters is the George and the Dragon roller coaster. This coaster has 2 tracks of 810 meters in which 2 trains, water and fire, compete against each other simultaneously. The track was designed in consultation with Efteling by the American company Great Coasters International Inc. But one of the most impressive aspects of this roller coaster is Edna. Edna is a fire-breathing dragon that was designed by P&P Projects. This animatronic dragon sits along the path that runs in front of the attraction, in a somewhat closed piece of a swamp that lies between two sections of the road. Edna is 39 feet tall and was capable of moving its head and neck and breathing fire. The creation of this animatronic was a huge challenge due to the short time frame and the complexity of hard body shells, which have to do complex movements. Sadly, the animatronic often appears to suffer from malfunctions and is therefore regularly motionless next to the track. Often, there are leaks in the oil lines and hydraulic cylinders. The fire breathing is rarely seen. After several maintenance visits in previous years, Efteling announced in October 2019 that Edna will keep quiet. Since then, the dragon has stood in a derelict state next to the track. The paint is peeling, all movement is turned off, and one pupil is turned up permanently. Edna's fans have tried to make Efteling change their decision and get them to fix the dragon, but there are sadly still no plans to do so. Still, the animatronic is pretty terrifying, and we hope that it gets fixed sometime.
Slappy the Dummy. The R.L. Stine Goosebumps franchise is currently the second best-selling book series of all time. Since the first book came out in 1992, there have been spin-offs, TV series, comics, and films based on the franchise. Goosebumps has also had a presence in the theme parks. Back in October of 1997, Disney's MGM Studios at Walt Disney World was home to the Goosebumps Horrorland Fright Show, but this only lasted a year. With the franchise being so popular, it was strange that no full dark ride had been created based on Goosebumps. And here's where the Sally Corporation comes in. Back in 2008, the company announced an agreement with Scholastic to design and market interactive dark rides based on Goosebumps. Along with this partnership, 12 new books were announced. The first book of this new series was Revenge of the Living Dummy, and in the book, Goosebump fans saw the return of Slappy the Dummy, the most famous villain who just happens to be the mascot of the Goosebumps franchise. So, of course, when the ride was being planned, a Slappy animatronic was a must. The ride would use animatronics, blacklight, and 3D elements to immerse guests into the Goosebumps world. The plans for this dark ride were presented at the IAAPA Expo with a special booth featuring the Slappy animatronic. Slappy could be seen wearing a diaper suit and was holding the Revenge of the Living Dummy book in his hand. He was supposed to be the pre-show greeter for the Goosebumps dark ride. Now, sadly, the ride was never brought to life and the concept was just shelved. But the animatronic Slappy remains at Sally Corporation's headquarters. So hopefully maybe one of these days, some theme park will make this ride a reality.
Gremlins, Movie Park, Germany. Warner Brothers Classics and The Great Gremlin Adventure is undoubtedly one of the strangest and most unique dark rides that has ever existed. This ride opened at the Warner Brothers Movie World theme park in 1991 and was duplicated in Warner Brothers Park in Germany and Gremlin Invasion. The Australian version of the ride took guests into a screening room where they could watch outtakes and bloopers of several of the company's most popular productions. Everything is going according to plan until the Gremlins decide to invade the facility, and guests are forced to find a way to escape. They got inside a vehicle so they could get away, and they encountered the one and only ghost with the most, Beetlejuice. Believe it or not, an animatronic Beetlejuice was in charge of getting guests out of there. The rest of the ride is chock full of animatronic gremlins. They are messing with the film cans, hanging from lamps, watching TV, destroying sets, dancing hula, among many other things. Gizmo makes a small appearance in a wooden barrel also. Finally, guests manage to escape, and the ride ends. In the German version of the ride, the character in charge of helping guests escape is Alf. Alf appears a couple of times in animatronic form also. In this version, Gizmo has a much more important role, since he appears along with Alf in many of the scenes. Sadly, both of these rides have now been retired and replaced by Scooby-Doo's Spooky Coaster in Australia and Van Helsing's Factory in Germany. But these gremlin animatronics will stay in guests' hearts, memories, and even nightmares for a long time.
Kylo Ren. Rise of the Resistance is one of the most advanced and immersive experiences ever achieved by Walt Disney Imagineering. It's really a technological marvel. Rise of the Resistance features multiple ride systems including motion simulators, trackless dark ride vehicles, and a free fall drop tower. It has holograms, projection effects, plus 65 audio animatronics to give us this technologically advanced theme park attraction. Now, Rise of the Resistance is set in a military outpost, where guests are recruited by the Resistance and take part in a battle with the First Order. Before entering the actual ride, you're completely immersed in the story as you pass through 4 different pre-show scenes. In one of the scenes, you board a transport which features a very impressive Lieutenant Beck animatronic. But it's not long before it's intercepted by a First Order Star Destroyer. The doors open where you're greeted by First Order officials. Then you're quickly taken down the hallways into detention cells. Here you'll encounter Kylo Ren, who along with General Hux interrogate you. This is the first of several encounters we have with Kylo Ren, but there are 2 impressive encounters with him as an audio animatronic. The first time we see Kylo Ren as an animatronic is when he's on the bridge of the Star Destroyer speaking to General Hux. The Kylo Ren animatronic quickly turns around. He looks super imposing and menacing. He lets us know that our escape is brave but hopeless because there is nowhere to run. This is when the chase led by Kylo Ren begins, and we see him in different forms. But the final encounter is the most impressive. We enter a room where we're about to escape, but suddenly the doors close and our vehicles turn around to meet Kylo Ren. This audio animatronic is extremely lifelike. He uses the Force to push and pull the trackless ride vehicles back and forth, all while we see the battle still raging out in space. A fighter jet crashes, leading to an explosion, and a hole is blasted into the wall, which almost knocks Kylo Ren into space. Both of these animatronics are very impressive and equally scary.
Sleeping Giant, Distortions Unlimited. Distortion Unlimited's owners, Ed and Marcia Edmonds, and their talented crew make monsters. Their quality props, masks, and creations have been a mainstay of the dark amusement industry since 1978. They have been in charge of creating animatronics and props for theme parks, haunted attractions, Halloween lovers, retailers, and more. They have made fantastic animatronics throughout the years, but one of them really stands out. This animatronic is the Sleeping Giant. This giant animatronic is very impressive and, of course, huge. It stands about 11 feet tall when it stands up and 8 feet tall when he's sleeping. The animatronic has a set of pre-programmed actions and can also be customized for the needs of each client. The Distortions Unlimited team has released a new version of the Giant called Colossus. This new animatronic measures 12 feet and includes all controls and standard soundtrack. You can also customize his soundtrack to make Colossus a friendly storyteller, angry warrior, or any other character you want. This giant and terrifying animatronic has become very popular and has been seen in various parks, such as Cedar Point, Kings Island, Canada's Wonderland, Carowinds, and Dorney Park, among others. This is such a fantastic animatronic, and it really shows the tremendous job that the team of Distortions Unlimited does. This animatronic is on sale on the company's webpage, and for $14,750, this frightening animatronic can be yours.
Animatronics, Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. When the wizarding world of Harry Potter made its debut in 2010, it revolutionized theme parks by launching an era of living lands. This created fully immersive areas taken from physical places seen on screen. Now, the first ride planned was Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. With its use of cutting-edge technology at the time and its fast-paced storytelling, it was an instant success with Potter fans and theme park guests. The ride takes place within the iconic Hogwarts Castle, looming high on an outcrop over the snowy village of Hogsmeade. The ride incorporates dark ride elements, motion simulator movements, projections, and animatronics. This is all tied together with a modern robotic arm system attached to a bench that makes you feel like you're flying. It's a fantastic ride, but some of it can be kinda scary. Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey has some pretty dark scenes featuring some terrifying animatronics. One of the scariest animatronics is definitely Hagrid's pet Hungarian horntail dragon. It feels like it's chasing you, plus it shoots fire as well. This effect is achieved by using warm, pressurized mist with red lighting. The animatronic is huge and pretty imposing. Mix that with the sound and movement of the ride vehicle, and it could be kinda scary for some riders. Now you'll also encounter animatronic props like the spiders and a huge animatronic Whomping Willow. The scariest scene by far is the one featuring the dozens of Dementors. In this scene, animatronic Dementors mounted on moving arms emerge from darkness. Then suddenly, one specific Dementor descends and attempts to suck the rider's souls. This effect, when it actually works, is achieved by projecting the riders' faces onto a cloud of fog in front of the Dementor. It blasts cold air towards the riders with a heartbeat-like sound effect playing through the subwoofers built into the benches. Originally, the sequence was supposed to feature many more Dementors chasing after riders, but the scene was deemed too frightening, and it was limited to just one. But one Dementor is scary enough.
The Maestro, Phantom Theater. Kings Island is definitely a fantastic park, and it is known as the largest amusement and water park in the Midwest. It has an endless number of attractions, some of which have gone through various changes and renovations, but without a doubt, Phantom Theater is one of the most missed attractions for Kings Island guests. This creepy attraction took guests through a journey inside an abandoned theater while witnessing the spirits of past performers, stagehands, and Maestro, the former star who presided over this once stately venue. The exterior of the building was stylized as a dilapidated and crumbling opera theater. The queue area featured low lighting and walls that were decorated with busts and portraits of some of the ghosts that would be seen during the ride, with eyes that would seem to follow the riders as they walked past them. After this, guests entered the lobby where they heard the taunting voice of Maestro, warning riders that they were disturbing the silence that had settled within the theater for decades. Guests boarded cars that, using an omnimover-like style, took them through 17 separate scenes. In the beginning, Maestro appeared and welcomed guests backstage as they went through hallways, dressing, rehearsal, and stage areas where the Maestro would periodically reappear and reaffirm that their intrusion was disturbing the spirits of past performers that inhabited the theater. The Phantom Theater's creative concept was created by R&R Creative Design of Anaheim, California, was the supplier of the ride's 38 animatronics. The ride was opened in 1992, and it closed 10 years later in 2002. The ride was then renovated and a new ride opened in its place. This ride was Scooby-Doo and the Haunted Castle, created by the Fantastic Sally Corporation. But then, following Kings Island's purchase by Cedar Fair in 2006, the ride dropped its Scooby-Doo theming and was renamed Boo Blasters on Boo Hill. The transformation included some updates and was done in collaboration with Sally Corp. The only remains found from this creepy attraction are the leftover ride components that have served as props during the park's annual Halloween Haunt event. But the creepiest animatronic of the ride is nowhere to be found and will only live in our nightmares. Spookslot Animatronics, Efteling. Spookslot opened at the Efteling on May 10, 1978. Since the beginning, this attraction was a huge success. This attraction is full of creepy and scary animatronics. When guests first enter, they go through a dark hallway where they can find some of the attraction's hosts. One of these ghosts is the Moaning Man. The Moaning Man is an animatronic of an exasperated, chained figure whose lamentation can be heard throughout the queue. This is a super creepy animatronic that definitely paves the way for what guests are about to experience. Next, guests enter the round hall, where they find a large chandelier that hangs from the index figure of a giant, hairy arm. Once in a while, the arm starts moving, causing the chandelier to swing dangerously back and forth. Then the lights begin to dim, and 3 bat-like devil figures appear on the ceiling. This part of the queue can scare more than one because as soon as the figures appear, they seem to spread their wings and dive towards guests. Thunder sounds, and they disappear in a flash. In the next waiting room, guests can find a statue called the Eastern Spirit, who tells the attraction's story. Then the show begins when the enchanted crow starts ringing a bell. To the left, we see a corpse hanging from a bell sting. This corpse belonged to the castle's gardener, who had caught and turned in the witch in the story. Next, the 3 judges who sealed the witch's fate appear, pronouncing their last judgment repeatedly. A procession of monks moves through a corridor in the center of the scene, then disappears behind a heavy door. At that moment, the dreadful dance sets in. We see lots of creepy elements, from instruments playing themselves to moving skulls and gargoyles. We also see the Viscount's daughter emerging from her grave, ghosts in the catacombs, and the witch's spirit is chained to a shelf and then consumed by flames when a fire is set. The scene ends with a loud thunder that shakes the stands. After that, everything goes dark, and only the violin keeps playing at the end of the music piece. This show is full of animatronics that, while they might not be the most advanced or impressive ones, they sure are creepy. From the demon-like creatures attacking guests in the attraction's queue, to all of the spooky elements of the show, like the hanging gardener or the witch being burnt to a crisp, Spookslot is so creepy and scary.
Happy Halloween, guys!
Happy Halloween, everybody! Thank you for being here today. Which one did you think it was the scariest?
I think it was Pennywise.
Yeah, probably Pennywise for me too. So let us know in the comments which one did you think it was the scariest.
We would like to thank TPM for being here today.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you to every creator that has been with us on this Halloween special.
We still have one more video coming up.
That's right. So join us next week. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all your support and for watching our videos, and happy Halloween!